With the release of Space Invaders by Tomohiro Nishikado in 1978 came the golden age of video arcade games, bringing forth crowds wanting to know what all the hype was about. The gaming community has ever since been growing, and as technology has evolved, society has been creating more sophisticated games with better graphics and new styles of gameplay. But there's something about the gameplay loops of retro arcade games that make them so fun and iconic. Something that Kit Sumo explores with Cosmic Survivor. Cosmic Survivor is a brutal roguelite arcade-style shooter game with a modern twist. Using your ship, you try to survive as long as possible by shooting enemies, dodging astronomical hazards, and finding power-ups to upgrade your ship. The visual aesthetic of this game reminds me of those retro arcade games, and the design is simple but effective. You have the choice between two ships currently. The first one has a shield that deflects enemies, shoots single bullets, and can charge a powerful shot. It also has a special rapid fire ability, at the cost of not moving while you stand your ground. The second ship shoots a spray of bullets, which you can charge up for even more bullets. It randomly lays down mines and can ram forward through enemies or to get away from danger. These enemies also have their own respective abilities. Red are the standard enemies, blue are shielded and need more firepower to deal with, but the most dangerous ones by far are the green and white ones. A horde of green enemies will swarm the ever-living fuck out of you, and the ping pong ball will bounce you around if you're not careful. They can all combine with their copies to form bigger threats, and if you let them get big enough, they turn into their upgraded versions, which spawn and shoot their respective smaller versions at you. Power-ups can be picked up from enemies and they'll help you blast through more of the horde. And the longer you survive, the more points you gain, which you can spend in the main menu to upgrade your ship. I'm a sucker for all roguelikes and roguelites, so after about 7 hours of gameplay total, I would call Cosmic Survivor a love letter to those retro games like Space Invaders or Galaga. It feels similar to bullet hell games since you're constantly weaving around danger, and the difficulty progression would be challenging normally, but it makes sense for a brutal roguelite. There is an RNG element with the black hole and meteor spawns as well as the drops, but most of the time I found myself with a decent amount of power-ups. That's not to say it's all the time though. Sometimes I would be absolutely crushing the game, and other times I would be left with my shoes untied. Like a lot of retro arcade games, this gameplay loop is what makes this game so addicting. Trying to score your way up the leaderboards with a clear objective to survive gives Cosmic Survivor a ton of replayability. With VR games, some are exclusive to their own systems. Cosmic Survivor is available on SideQuest for the Quest, Quest 2, and MetaQuest Pro. I currently own a Windows Mixed Reality headset, which I had trouble with the audio for the demo, but was still able to play 7 hours nonetheless. Another note, with the Rhino ship, it's hard for me to spot exactly where it is sometimes, unlike the Viper, which has a shield that makes it easier to spot. If there were some sort of visual cue, then that could help. For now though, I like to think that it adds to the challenge of the Rhino ship. How did you get started with game development, and what skills or hobbies helped you start?
I started off pretty young, coding text adventures on my Pentium 386 as a kid, but ended up having a career in systems programming. I'd say computing as a hobby gave me the resilience to overcome the countless technical challenges developing solo, and my programming experience has given me the organizational skills to tackle large projects without getting lost in spaghetti code.
What is your inspiration for this project?
I was looking for inspiration around May when I came across Vampire Survivors. It had a simple but compelling gameplay loop, low price, simple graphics, but was financially successful. That gave me the drive to halt development of a VR escape room game I was working on called 8-Bit Escape that wasn't getting much attention, and start developing a roguelite survival game.
What has been the main challenge for this project?
The development has been challenging but mostly fun. It's all the gaps in your skill set that weigh you down, especially if you're under time pressure and have no budget. To begin with, it doesn't really matter. You're just getting a prototype done, but it gets painful when you decide you need better visuals but don't have the skill to do it.
What details would you like your audience to know that's not given in any social media posting so far?
There were 2 additional ships planned that didn't make it to the game before release. If I can get 100 reviews by January the 12th, I'll add one of those by community choice.
Is this the main project you're working on, or are there others?
There's nothing I'm actively working on, but I'll release a PC version of Cosmic Survivor on Steam after the holidays. But the next project will be a love letter to the original VR multiplayer dungeon crawler, Legend Quest. It blew my mind back in the 90s, and it's the main reason that I'm a game developer. Anyone interested should follow my socials, as I'll need plenty of playtesters early in 2023.
You can find Kitsumo's socials as well as links to 8-Bit Escape in the description. Here's footage from his other works, some I believe to be for that VR dungeon crawler Kit mentioned. Solo development is a steep hill to climb, so if you're an artist, creator, or just looking to test the game, the link to Kit's Discord community will be in the description if you want to link up there. Consider subscribing for more indie game reviews. The goal of this channel is to bring more attention to smaller game development teams and solo developers, so your support encourages me to create more content like this. I realize also that it might be a great idea to make a list of all the other indie games I've played for this month, because I play a substantial amount, and I think it would be really cool if I had a list of all my personal favorites, and maybe some honorable mentions on different genres like horror, 3D platformer, etc. So stay tuned for that.